thanks everyone for coming. This is the global panel on the Urban Sustainability Edition. So this is an event run by What Women with Team ESTEEM for the Sustainability Week at Heriot-Watt Uni, which has been running all week long. So I will ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves. So we're going to have a panel with 4 panelists. So if all the panelists are the people with their cameras on. So yeah, go ahead. Sonia, if you want to go first, you can introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So my name is Sonia, and I'm a 4th year architecture engineering student, and I'm a team leader of Team ESTEEM. I'll just pass it on, which I think the best would be Alex. Probably should go before me.
No, at all. I'm Alex McLaren. I'm a lecturer here at Heriot-Watt University. I'm Associate Professor in Architecture on the Edinburgh campus. And I have the pleasure of working with Sonia and her team on the current Solar Decathlon house. But also I had the pleasure of joining Anthony and his team in Dubai 2 years ago when they built their Solar Decathlon house. So I will use that opportunity to hand over to Anthony to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm from Dubai campus. I'm an architecture 4th year student. And yeah, I worked on our house. Yep, so I'm here. Also, not really part of ESTEEM, but like, in and out. But yeah, glad to be part of this panel today. Yep, thank you.
And I'm my name is Jill Sheth, and I'm a 2nd year PhD student at the Urban Planning School. And then I am also interior design team leader for Team ESTEEM. I do help out with other occasionally I do help out with structural team, architecture team, and other teams as well.
Amazing, great. It's good to have you all. I'm Juliet, so I'm the representative from What Women, but I'm also part of Team ESTEEM. I'm on the marketing team mainly now. So what is Team ESTEEM? What is our house? Let's jump in. So first off, What Women, it's a What Women organised event, and we basically support females studying STEM, engineering subjects at Heriot-Watt University. So we do things like this in our global panel series. So we had an industry panel last month. This is our event for this month, and we'll probably have another one next month. And we do other events like career workshops, site visits, etc. So if you want to follow us, we're at What Women. And I'll go on to introduce Team ESTEEM, which is the sustainability aspect of the panel tonight. So this is a short video introducing Team ESTEEM. Team ESTEEM from Heriot-Watt University are the only UK team who are finalists in the Solar Decathlon Middle East 2020. A team of over 60 students from all over the world collaborating across 12 sub-teams to design one solar-powered house of the future. We are challenging you to build a future to be proud of. Our home combines traditional Scottish and Middle Eastern architecture with modern technology to create a sustainable, energy-efficient housing solution for the future. Some of the cutting-edge innovations incorporated in design include a unique 3D printed wind catcher to provide naturally cool airflow, cross-laminated timber building technologies, hybrid thermal and photovoltaic systems for self-sufficient solar energy generation, and smart integrated home systems. In collaboration with our sponsors. Team ESTEEM, pride in where and how we live. So that's our quick intro as Team ESTEEM. I'll pass on to Sonia to talk a little bit more about what the team's been up to this year and the team itself.
Sure thing. Well, a lot has been happening, and you can see the wonderful picture of all of us, and it's just a fraction of all the people that actually work in the project. We've grown quite a bit since September. There's many new people coming, which we expect is not only because of the COVID and how everyone wants to just socialize a bit more, but also because of how much more publicity we got and how the project evolved from the beginning. Which 1.5 years ago, it was just a logo. Currently we have we are getting closer to building an actual house in Edinburgh. So it's really exciting. And I think that I got too far already. And let's take a step back and tell a little bit more and to people that don't know what the project is about. And basically, we are competing in the Solar Decathlon Challenge Middle East 2020, which currently is 2021. So the competition is scheduled for next year, October, November, actually from October till December. And then it's connected with the Expo 2020 and again 2021 now, which is a huge event that usually gathers some 25 million people. We'll see how the hybrid version will come. But in general, there's many universities and all the teams design a fully normal size house for a single family or 2 people, and we just show it and showcase it during the competition. Have multiple range of activities and tasks to do. Everything is measured, and then the winner is chosen. So for the past 1.5, we tried to come up with the best ideas, and we actually incorporated many incredible plans, ideas, but also solutions from the market. The collaborators gave us incredible results. So the house you can see now is our current design, and we're still working on it, but a lot is just looking good. It's really looking good, and our documentation is actually very professional. So I would always recommend and always try to encourage you to join the team, have a look at how it looks, and gain some skills. But obviously, apart from me promoting the team all the time and encouraging people to join, I should highlight the sustainability part, which is smart home, and it's going to be a house for the future. And so we try to think mostly with the sustainability in our minds, and most of the solutions there are incredibly innovative, and as it was said in the video, is cutting edge. So not only it will be fully solar powered, but it will have many other aspects inside that will drive the sustainability in urban planning and development. And I think I've been speaking a lot already, so I'll just pass it back to Juliette, and thank you.
No, that was great. It's great. It seems like it's a massive task getting it from concept to actually building the house as well. It's crazy. So we're now going to hear from Anthony, who is part of Aura House, who actually competed and went through this whole process in earlier years. So I'll pass you on to Anthony to talk about Aura.
So Aura House, like we are one of the first teams to be part of SDME Middle East in the first year of and Aura stands for, as you can evident from this, organic, resilient, and adaptable. So whole concept was to design a house which is organic and resilient, which is more adaptable to the users inside it, and which has all modern equipments which monitors the house, and which is more towards the sustainable part of the built environment. So for those who don't know much about Aura House, I would like to give a brief about the Aura House, what was the concept behind it. So due to our adaptable aspect, our whole Aura House was designed as a modular villa. So as you can see, the module number 1, it's a module of 3.3 by 4 meter, and the height, we had like 2 different heights, 3.5 meters and 5 meter. So the whole house is an iteration of the same modules placed across the space, and as you can see, we have a hybrid Burjil. So Burjil is the adaptive wind capturing traditional thing, which you can commonly seen in traditional Arabic houses. So we took that concept in mind, and we designed a hybrid Burjil according to the existing technology. So through funneling effect, the wind, we were capturing the prevailing winds, and through funneling effect, it was cooling down, and we had some plans which will clean the air and make it more breathable. Our whole idea was to passively cool our vestibule, which was like a buffer space. So that's how the hybrid Virgil was used. And yeah, so as you know, like Arabs, they respect their privacy. So we sort of divided house into three parts. The green one, vestibule, is more like a buffer space, and the red part is like the public spaces, and the blue one is the private spaces. And the private spaces were like had kind of hidden sort of thing, because they didn't have doorknobs. It was like a push to open kind of doors. And as you can see, the walls in the south side near the blue marked spaces, the walls were double insulated. The south side, as you know, it reduced the radiation from the south side, as well as it gave them the privacy. And we used the polycarbonate, which was a sustainable material, and it was also had a good thermal properties. And
Amazing.
and yep, this is our final house, and our whole team uh, finally built. So it was a wonderful experience. We were part of there were about 15 teams. We learned from each other, and uh, they were really most of them uh, developed their own ways to their own technologies, which could which would be part of the sustainable built environment in the future. You could see really enthusiastic young people together, pull their resources and minds to build something new for the future. So, hoping this year would be better as previous year. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it's great to hear all the technology that you tried to build into design, and yeah, the house at the end. Great. Awesome. So let's jump into some questions then. For the panelists, what do you think, first off, is the most important thing that we should be looking at in terms of urban sustainability and sustainable architecture and design?
So, sustainable in future is going to be, we can't literally, when you read some articles, you can see stop fossil fuels and literally ban their, extraction. But it's impossible, because you get plastics from fossil fuels, and it's literally impossible for us to think a life without plastic. So, uh, but for me, we can, with the existing technologies in hand, I think we are capable enough to develop sustainable methodologies which would create uh, a lifestyle which will cost us less carbon footprint or something. So even from when you're building something new, instead of uh, getting the stuff imported from outside, maybe if you locally source the material, it would be great for to reduce the carbon footprint because of the transportation. And again, the cities, modern cities, so if you look into Dubai, it's a wonderful city, but the flow in the city is we don't have pedestrian access. So we do have, but it's not well connected. So I think in future, these if the cities were pedestrian friendly, I think more people would use bikes, or even would love to travel by walking. And the connectivity matters from point A to point B. So in our Dubai campus, we, along with Professor Shamil, we are looking into the parametric design of the architecture. So those will simulate the pedestrian access, say from point A to point B. It will calculate the minimal distance with shading, shadows. So I think we can use the modern methodologies while designing, so it could really make a huge impact on our built environment.
Amazing. Yeah, that's interesting. The climate in Dubai has to be a big factor of things as well, with obviously the heat and everything. I know when designing the house, I don't know if Sonia can add to this, we had to consider sort of shading and everything with the steam house as well, because obviously it's going to be built in Dubai.
Yeah. So yeah, they can even use shading lures which can project out of when they're planning buildings. Maybe they can build a canopy structure which can come out of the building, so it will shade the pedestrians on its own. Yeah, so yeah, I think we as a future designers have to really think before we design.
I don't know if there's any comment, but I just want to say that especially the last sentence is very crucial. And I think many people just tend to follow some rule of thumb, which is fair point. There's many research methods, but as you said, Anthony, we need to really think deeply, which also means think critically about things we do. So question, even if something was done like this for 50 years, we should question everything. And this, I think, should be a key to sustainable living.
Yeah, especially with everything that's happened this year. Do you think it'll be a good moment for sort of reflection and possibly time to bring in certain policies and make sustainability and the environment the focus?
Yeah, I definitely think that it is a good idea right now, because people do actually have free time to actually think about and the past situation, and how we can actually notice a huge difference on how climate has changed because of the current lockdown measures, and how it has impacted positively as well in the environment, especially in India. If you see, the levels of particulate matter has essentially gone down, and the pollution in the water and streams has reduced to a huge amount. And that is really important for us to see. I think that if we are looking at uh, reaching the climate change uh, climate change milestones that we want to achieve, uh, as per UNFCCC or something like that, we need to look at our carbon footprints. Even while construction, we need to look at the embodied energy in the materials. We need to select more sustainable methods to construct, as well as select more sustainable materials for construction as well, and look at life cycle rather than just the one time initial cost or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think Sonia's got a comment.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that I'm not interrupting anyone, but I think that I will form a separate opinion, a pretty unpopular one, that I think that coronavirus and the whole COVID pandemic can shift us more further away from the concerns of sustainability, because people will be very focused on keeping ourselves alive and healthy, which usually is like a temporary topic, and sustainability might be put aside, which is my worry. And I agree with everything you said, Jill, and it's absolutely true. I just think that it might be difficult when people are scared to then even scare them more with, the vision that global warming will kill us. It's people can take certain amounts of stuff, and I think that's why sustainability might be a second concern at least for current months.
I think that may be true, but possibly the sort of social awareness that suddenly everyone seems to have might drive things in the other direction as well. Yeah, Anthony?
So I would like to add on something here. So I think the COVID has influenced or will influence people, the mentality of people who design new spaces. From the work from home, it showed how actually usable our spaces are. So I think usage of more home offices will increase, and I think when they build something new, they'll try to segregate the spaces, like private versus like the office spaces, you know. And again, I read some article about somewhere saying the usage of the buttons in the lift, or when you enter some place, you don't have to use the doorknobs. I think that might actually make a huge impact on new buildings which will come up after COVID-19. I don't think it might again cause impact in a new other level. Building. I don't think the people will still be designing spaces by considering social distancing in their mind. But still, I do think in some levels, like the automated doors or automated lift, or even voice commanded lifters. There might be new technologies which might come up, and which will influence the built environment. And I think again, uh, when everyone is stuck in home during quarantine, I think they understood the importance of having a balcony or like a green space, in their home. So I think definitely that's going to make a huge impact, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Particularly the integration with the new smart technologies, and it sort of brings up this problem of energy generation, because if so many people are sat at home and using more energy, potentially we're going to have some sort of energy generation as sort of fossil fuel decline. And I know with the SDME houses, you guys have you have to make it solar generated, self-sufficient houses essentially. Do you think that this will be integrated as well into future designs and possibly could be implemented into cities and urban designs, not just sub-rural areas?
Yeah, definitely those kind of technologies will be integrated along with even the farming, where the in-house, the small farming setup. I think those are increased during these quarantine period. Like people started like really think about their lifestyle. So I think, yeah, it did make a really good impact, I guess, in a certain ways.
On the electricity usage, and because you said if we can implement it in different buildings, right, the solutions we have in a STEAM house, and well, definitely we can, but also needs to remember that in commercial buildings it might be more difficult to because the profile of usage is different, many things are different, and we tend to look at the solutions that like assume that renewable solution accessed by individuals are better, but actually, when you think about it, I would 100% times more like to people to push to get more renewables in the grid. So basically, if you plug into the grid, you assume that this energy is worse than renewable from your house. But if governments and countries invested in bigger renewable plants, for example, bigger photovoltaics, or like Iceland, just it's 100% renewable because of their thermal sources, the grid is renewable. So there's no need to invest in individual ones, which obviously will drive like higher prices. It will be better for everyone to just have more renewable grid, and people are not aware yet that they should push for it, and people are not aware that they have the actual power to push governments to do it. So definitely there are solutions we can implement on the individual level, but I would probably be a fan of movement being like, just make the grid renewable and invest on a bigger scale.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it as well. Jill, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that now that we see the awareness about green buildings and sustainable buildings and efficient buildings is increasing. I've also actually I did my dissertation on tiny houses, and I even saw that the trend of minimalism is on rise as well in some people who think that overuse of resources is actually killing our planet or something like that. So I can see tiny houses or standalone houses and customizable houses as such, who which are actually efficient and off grid, are actually and movable as well, are actually coming in the trend, though some governments are not really open to it. Even in UK, if we see, there are space constraints which do not actually permit tiny houses, but I think people are pushing for the sustainable lifestyle and living as well. So I think it's a good idea that if there is some movement like that, and governments are actually pressurized to make policy changes, because it's in my dissertation I actually contacted around 50 tiny house owners and people who have constructed it in entire world, and I was able to find out that it's majorly based on the policies that governments are making, and otherwise they just have to take permission for something like extension rather than a house, and they just make it a house. So they find ways to get around it, but I think if government is more accepting regarding something like that, it would be really good.
That's really interesting. So we've got sort of the two different sides. We've got the self-sustaining houses and then the grid, but both of them have to be pushed and by sort of awareness and people's mindset sort of shifting, which I think, yeah, that's really interesting. So in terms of all these, you talk about sort of the power that we have to implement these changes and sort of bring it up to the government. Do you think sort of collaboration across different industries and with people's interests and stuff, do you think that's really the driving force that we need to start these sort of big changes?
I don't know if anyone wants to take him, but I would say that 100%. And without collaboration, nothing can be done. So I think that's the key. And I would challenge someone to disagree with the statement, but I'm afraid that probably we all agree here that collaboration is inevitable.
I have something to add on this one. So if you look into a few decades back, like, architecture engineers, everyone was drawing with pen and pencil. Paper and pencil. But now it has evolved to the CAD, BIM models, and in Dubai campus, we use even Python, the computer coding, even to design our buildings. So we need computer engineers, students to come in, to help with the coding part. And obviously, so I think we have reached the point where collaboration from any field can be welcomed to build a better building or urban design. And it's not just about the computer. It doesn't have to be limited to the computer engineering students. So in our house, we had a farm bot. So a farm robot, it farms itself, it was developed fully by electrical and electronic engineering students and computer engineering students. So everything when comes together, I think the collaboration, I think it is getting better, and it will develop in foreseeable future. I think it will reach up to a point where the other will thrive from the other, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Especially with Team ESTEEM as well, we have people from all different backgrounds, and I think it definitely makes any team, it makes it stronger. Diversity and having people who think differently on the same topics is really interesting. Yeah. So sort of building on from integration across different subject areas, do you think that we might get more, will designs be more interesting, and will we see some more, I don't know, crazy designs? I mean, if you look at Team ESTEEM in our house, they don't look typically like what you'd see from classical designs. So is that part of it?
Actually, I think it has actually we have diversified our designs a lot because of so many people contributing, and we keep on getting like new ideas that we would have never thought of. For example, I am a civil engineer as well, and someone from renewable would come around and tell me about a new kind of technology or something, and I would have never heard about it. And we'll search for the technologies and compare it and something like that, and it would be really interesting. Even for like insulation or something like that, we were trying to find out like poly like synthetic insulations and like natural insulations, and we compared a lot about it, and then we went for hemp insulation as well, and we selected hemp. And then we came across cooled ceiling, which was very new to the architects and even the civil engineers. And then we tried to accommodate and combine uh, and make this house into a hybrid technology, and this efficient house combining all the efficient technologies that we can find and that are feasible even to incorporate in our house. So it's really good as an experimentation, as a pilot project as well, and it's a very good idea for collaboration as well, because combining all the smart systems along with the sustainable materials and building this hybrid kind of house, which is super efficient, is a really nice thing to do. And it wouldn't have been possible if our team wasn't this diversified. If we just had people from one or two backgrounds, it wouldn't have been possible at all.
I just want to say I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
So I would like to add something here. So in the current scenarios, we see mainly two types of architecture. Either it's high, ultra crazy designs, which are not sustainable, or which are ugly looking buildings, which is like really sustainable. And there's a sweet spot, like a really small gray area, which like very few in the world have, made use of that, like Zaha Hadid, Foster Partners. So they work in this gray area. They make the crazy designs along with some really high tech, sustainable aspects. Even they get platinum, LEED platinum for their buildings. So I think more, even the when we design, it's not about just the crazy designs, but how the thought we put into it, like the sustainability aspect of it. So when I was last year, when I was designing my project, uh, my whole idea was to make a sustainable housing for us for students. So what I did was first I designed the house, then I started throwing some sustainable strategies here and there. But professor trashed it. So then he gave me a manual, lead manual, and he asked me, start from this, then go to the design. So I think that's what we as a designer should do, like, design by keeping sustainability in mind. And I also think that even in architecture, materiality is a most important thing. Nowadays, when I read articles about materiality, I feel like architects are stepping behind a bit. They are going back in time and using the traditional materials and using advanced technologies like robotic fabrication and bringing it back to life. I think those materials were really sustainable. So even the masonry constructions, the stone masonry, which was used in medieval cathedrals, we see. So they make there's a technology called stereotomy. So they are trying to bring that back. They're calibrating and designing the form which is geometrically aesthetically pleasing, as well as not so bulky as how usual stone masonry used to look like. So and again, even my new dissertation topic for this year is about robotic fabrication of bamboo construction. So as we all know, bamboo has like more compressive strength than concrete, but it's about how we are bringing that one into the real life, I think. Yeah. So materiality also makes a really huge difference in bringing the sustainability to the building. So I would say, like, let's try to stick to the gray area, as I said, but it's nearly really only maybe 0.1% of the world architects have, could really work on that gray area. So yeah, hoping for that. Let's.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That leads on quite well. So potentially looking back in time as well as looking forward, or perhaps having some sort of integration between new technologies and the old classics. So a lot of people, when they think, if they're not architecture, the students or know the industry well, a lot of them, when they think about sustainable housing, they think of things like green walls. Some may think of solar panels, things like that, which generally may cost a lot more than a standard house design, but that might not always have to be the case.
So the first when the SDME we participated, there was a university. I'm not gonna name that. They really got a high position in the grid, like the score, but they really had an ugly building. But the sustainable strategies were so good. Their house was started performing so well. But we were the architects among the whole thing, like we were the architects were doing the construction, the technical everything. So we were more focused on the design aspect. So yeah, I think it's a integration of both, and I think the collaboration which what was the one we missed during our time, and I think that's the only that's the plus point the Team ESTEEM has. I think you have more professionals from various. I mean, even though we had computer science students, but you have the AE students, a civil, everyone coming together. I think that's really important, and which is really great in in Team ESTEEM.
So in my previous university in India, we did like a survey of green buildings versus conventional buildings and compared all the material cost and everything. And the overall cost for green building was just 5% more than the conventional building. And of course, the performance and everything, if we consider life cycle cost and the performance, they could have covered that much in just half an year as such. So uh, I think yes, of course, green buildings can be costly if you see at the initial cost, but in a longer run, they turn out to be cheaper when you consider life cycle cost and the performance based gains that you'll be getting in terms of energy or in terms of uh, livability or in terms of comfortability of the people inside.
I will just add here, because I think what Jill said is so incredibly important, is that the cost, it's not only what you spend at the point of just building the house, it's so much more, not to mention the investment in the future. But it just also explains the perception of people and why people don't want to invest, because they don't see the value. And to be honest, if you want to aim for sustainable solutions, we first need to prove that the solutions is cheaper. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So to be honest, the main concern would be not to even educate people at this point. It's a very radical opinion, but to work on the cost efficiency of all the solutions and proving just the fact that they will be cheaper at the end in the long run, which I think many people in academia do not think about, because we tend to think about very sophisticated, nice explanations for things that look really nice and scientific. But in fact, most of the people that actually make buildings, they don't think in a scientific way, and they don't really think in more in a big explanation forms. They need to have a very simple and very money-driven explanation. So it's a sad but very true point.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Thinking about the lifetime of something as well. And also coming down to the design as well. Now people are spending a lot of time in their houses. People are thinking about, oh, maybe house design is more important than it would be otherwise if we're all going to be stuck in our houses for certain periods of time.
I just had a question for Anthony about his experience with Hora House and uh, how did it like compare with other houses and what did you think that was very innovative in someone else's house that you could have incorporated in Hora House or something like that?
Oh, that's a question which can't be answered in one panel, I guess, because everyone was so passionate and they had hundreds of new. There was a Chinese team, I remember. They even developed their own sort of power generating whatever stuff they had. That I think that was like way forward in future. I would say I don't think it was like 100% working at that point, but so there were a lot of there were then again I saw window design Virginia Tech had. So they had a 3D printed some sort of circuit on the glass, which was like nearly impossible to see. It was just looked like a say plain simple glass, but it was producing like it was generating electricity, and there were like tons of like we learned a lot of actually. It was just a 15 days of construction and exhibition followed that, but yeah, we helped each other, we learned from each other, and we used to have these house parties every day after our exhibition. So we used to go and chill in their home, like they used to give a tour, and they used to explain all the techies they had. They used to flex on that, and we used to flex on ours. So yeah, it was a really good experience actually. Yep.
That's amazing. That sort of brings me back to the grid when we were talking about that earlier about having grid generation technologies or having people self-generate the technologies and possibly people's houses becoming a generation hub and then feeding back to the grid and maybe selling their energy back to the grid. What do you guys think about that?
Even in our house, we had something called grid connected system. So as we had around 25 PV panels and around 7 to 8 BIPV panels. Uh, so we used to take from the grid, and we used to sell it. So basically, we are getting the electricity from grid, but once you have your monthly, if it tallies out, and if you produce more than what you spend, you'll get more into it. And again, it's actually more commonly started practicing in UAE nowadays. The private firms are setting up their own solar farms, and they are trying to sell it to people, and they are basically getting from DIVA. DIVA is the electricity authority of Dubai. So yeah, so I think grid connected systems are becoming more common nowadays, and yeah, that could be something which can be implemented.
Even in India, people are going for like net energy rather than the just the grid. So if you have like uh solar or something like that installed, you just go for net metering system instead of the normal meters. So it would go clockwise when you are actually consuming, and when you're giving back to grid, it would go anti-clockwise, and then it would be a net meter. And that way you wouldn't get any taxes or anything like that on top of the your electricity bill, because they know that you are contributing back. And even the charges for you to get electricity are lower than the normal ones. It's just, and they even subsidize the solar panels and everything. So you have like government subsidy of around 40% to 60% for you to install solar panels, just to uh, like just to encourage people to use such technologies as such. Like I do remember we even got a solar cooker, and that was it would have costed so much in the market, but we just got it for like £6 equivalent, and we could cook our meals for like years and years in that solar cooker, and it was so nice to have.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think the initial investment in solar panel is much for everyone. So if it is kind of available on something like EMI or some government subsidy or like monthly grant or something like that, that would make it incentivized for people to actually accommodate it.
Yeah, definitely. It's making sustainable options also economical for yourself to get. But on that, solar panels are decreasing in price every year quite dramatically. So that's another benefit of sort of the technological advances which are happening each year. And yeah, the research behind them.
But actually, I've seen even the vernacular sustainable things coming back. For example, they have this curtain that they have created out of some clay pots that are actually porous anyways, and you just pour water on top of it and it acts like air conditioner. And there are some wheels that they make like a small turbine, and then they just put it in the gray water pipelines, and they generate small scale electricity with that. I mean, something like that is so innovative, and something like that can be developed as well. Like if we go back and look at the vernacular technologies that existed, which were actually sustainable, we can actually get so much inspiration for the technology forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming. That was really interesting to listen to all your opinions, and I certainly learned some things, which was great. And yeah, thanks to everyone for attending. And
thank you, Julia, for organizing this. It's very interesting and actually insightful to listen to, actual opinions apart from projects.
Yeah, get a break from all the Team ESTEEM stuff. If anyone listening or watching the recording would like to get involved in Team ESTEEM, you can find us on all the social medias at Team ESTEEM 2020. And we've got a couple campaigns going. We've got a couple more events coming up. So if anyone is interested, you can pop along. And if anyone wants to know more about What Women as well, same thing, we're at What Women. So you can find us there. And it is National World Kindness Day today. So I hope everyone has a nice evening. And yeah, it's kind of yourself. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming along.
Yep.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again for organizing this one. It was a wonderful, panel. Yep. And obviously learned a lot from everyone. And yep, glad to be part of this one. Hope to have more coming days.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, there will be the global panel series is a series of events, so we will hopefully have some more in the future, possibly an industry panel with some of the sponsors of Team ESTEEM, so that'll be an interesting one.